Over 1,000 years ago, wild men came from the north and raided populations all over Europe. But it is not only men who are heading out to a new world. In the sagas, which are stories about the Vikings, women too, with cunning and courage, fight for a better life. The latest research provides an even more precise picture of daily life in the Viking Age and of women who assert themselves in a man's world.
It is a great honor. Only the most important of men and very few women are buried in their boats. Almost never women. I, Sigrun, was one of them. Even though I was taken as a little girl and forced to marry a chief, I became the ruler over my own land in the end. This is my story.
The peoples of Northern Europe are separated by seas, fjords, and rivers. Over 1,000 years ago, the Vikings lived on widely separated farms, in isolated clans, and small kingdoms.
Look at that.
What's going on here?
See, Mother? I belong now. Look, Mother.
How could you?
What do you want from me? Tomorrow will be his first voyage. He's becoming a man.
Yeah.
A warrior.
Yes.
Heroic deeds await.
Heroic deeds. You attack innocent people and take them hostage.
We are not afraid of our enemies.
Yes. But your courage increases with the number of men you have.
What do you know? What are you trying to say?
Back then, there were only 3 of us against you.
Are you calling me a coward?
Oh, that's enough.
Well, now you've given me something that we women value greatly. A fresh and rosy complexion.
Finish it.
You're still borrowing.
Out of my way.
Women didn't really have legal rights. In any legal matters, they had to be represented by a male member of their family. But in terms of day-to-day life, as in most traditional societies, the roles of the 2 genders were quite distinct.
A lifetime of running. Like a frightened animal being pursued by demons. I lost my happiness forever. Back then, when evil came. It happened in the dead of night when the Horde raided my home, destroying everything I loved. My father, my mother, my home. I became the slave bride to my father's murderer when I was only 11. The hope for a just life for my children gave me courage, strength, and an iron will.
Mama!
The years went by and I remained imprisoned in unhappiness, resigned to my fate.
Are you coming?
Yes, I'm coming. But then, everything changed.
For more than 300 years, archaeologists have been looking for traces of an era which they call the Viking Age. From household to graveyard culture, each area is slightly different. But with regard to the communal life of men and women, a coherent image has emerged.
householder, a man, would own a farm, an estate, where many people worked for him. Large numbers of members of his family would live there, and he would have a wife who had a similar role within the household as he had organizing the household. His role would be mainly outside the household. Her role would mainly be within the household.
Hurry up now. The men are almost here.
I'll give you a hand.
Get rid of the chickens.
Chickens, yes.
Fill the horns
Yes,
with
we're
beer.
on it.
Come on.
On my
Let's
way.
go.
Yes. Here, take this.
Give it to me.
Oh, woman, fill it to the brim.
Odin shall receive his part. My protector, you have gotten many offerings from me. Accept this gift as well. And protect us on our voyage. Men, let us drink to Odin.
Odin is a god very much restricted to aristocrats and warriors. He's not suitable for everyday life. I don't think women were interested in Odin at all.
The Vikings believe in a great number of gods and spirits. Sagas and stories make the round. For some rituals, the local chief is in charge because he must motivate his warriors. One of the sagas tells the story of a son of Odin who was sent to the people by boat as a king. The chiefs refer to this saga. To demonstrate their power, some of them use ship graves such as the one found in Oseberg in Norway, a burial mound in which a complete Viking ship was discovered, along with innumerable grave goods, animal sacrifices, and everyday items. That's how a Viking prince buried his relatives.
The words spoken when erecting monumental ship graves were, "Here lies somebody who is a descendant of Odin, and who has the right to be king based on his bloodline."
The ship graves contain mostly men, the chiefs and kings. But Oseberg is an exception. Here we have the bodies of two women, one nearly 80 years old, and another 50 years old. Who could they have been?
There's been a lot of speculation about is one the servant of the other? Are they part of the same family? Is it a queen and a princess, or a queen and her slave? Is it a sorceress of some kind? Is it just a very important person? Or are there combinations of those explanations? I think it is very clear that both the women in the Oseberg grave are of high status.
Such powerful women were an exception. For the great majority of them, everyday life is marked by preparing food and making clothes. Winters are long, the women manage the food supplies. But in the summer, many of them assume full authority over the farm, while the men go Viking, which literally means make a sea voyage.
When we hear the word Viking, we first think of the people who devastated Europe. But these people were actually peasants, some of whom went Viking in the summer. So who looked after the farm then, in Sweden, Denmark, and Norway? The women, of course, had to take care of business.
That is how you string your bow. You mean like that? That looks good, my boy.
We should not part in anger.
I will demand a divorce.
Because of a single slap on the face?
I can tolerate your beatings. That doesn't matter to me. But I want Thorolf to become a decent person.
How are you going to live? You don't own anything.
I have made up my mind. I will leave the farm, and I'll take the children.
Thorulf!
Father?
Come here and say goodbye to your mother.
I'll be fine.
Do you want to see your son again? Then you will stay here and take care of the farm until we have returned. Oh, man!
There is evidence that people could divorce and that women could ask for divorce. We have some evidence from one of the Arabic writers who visited the town of Haithabu, who observed this. And the sagas also tell of women, if they were unhappy in their marriage, then they could ask for a divorce and they could get one.
Divorce is possible, but only if the woman can return to her own family or to other relatives. Because survival is possible only within a family group. Alone in the wild, no one has a chance. This is also shown by aerial archaeology, a new kind of research. Flying over Norway, researchers search for traces of old settlements. They look for clues telling them how the people in the Viking Age lived together and what they ate. So they photograph the Earth's surface with several cameras simultaneously, and then use computers to build three-dimensional models.
The great advantage of airborne laser scanning for archaeological purposes is that we can use filters to remove the trees and bushes. It is easier to detect deviations from the environment on landscape models without vegetation.
This way, the researchers find new information about the hunting methods of the Vikings.
A trapping system such as the one I have demonstrated here most often consists of several hollows in a row. Then, a herd of elks or reindeer walks over them. People simply dug 1.5 to 2 meter deep holes with a kind of fence between them. If a herd was approaching, the elks could only run over a hole. The holes were lightly covered, and the elk would fall into the hole.
Reindeer and other large animals are very valuable as a source of food and clothing for a family. This is illustrated on the wall carpet from the Swedish Överhogtile, one of only a few illustrations from the time. But there is much more to it than a picture of a herd of reindeer.
It takes a very long time to weave something like this. If you concentrate while weaving, you might produce a few centimeters a day. It just takes time. If you start with this carpet here, you can imagine the quiet beginning of a story. Then the actual plot starts.
It took the women at least 14 years to weave this carpet, using motifs from the folktales. It is the oldest depiction of these stories.
I think they illustrate a story which at the time was very popular. The story of Siegfried, the dragon slayer, whom we also know from other versions. This story was also told all over the north.
En välkänd historia som berättades i hela Norden.
The carpet is not a battle painting. With Siegfried and the dragon, the weavers placed emphasis on other issues.
Here you see the female perspective, love, revenge, infidelity, the restoration of wounded honor.
Why do you look so worried?
Ulf has me trapped. And he is right. Who am I anyway?
Look in your heart and listen to what the gods are planning for you.
I don't like what I am hearing there. There is only noise. Nothing but noise. I have to escape.
And your children?
I can't stand by and watch as their father brings misery on them. I can't.
You have to protect them, as you've always protected them. Nobody will be there to support you. Do you really want to add to their misery?
Conflicts in marriage and partnership arise in many of the ancient Viking folktales. It was not until the 11th century, the end of the Viking Age, that the stories which had been passed down orally were written down by unknown authors in Iceland. The sagas describe not only heroes and warriors, but also their wives.
In the sagas we see several really proud, strong, active women. We see, I guess, various ways of dealing with this discrepancy in power between women and men. We see women who use the female role to the fullest extent and just have a lot of power without ever really breaking out of the female role. But sometimes they take the initiative on their own, and this sometimes proves to be really troublesome.
Women with magic powers, but especially women full of wisdom and knowledge, they are elevated poetic figures. But they also reflect the status of the women of this time and their opportunities for action.
If you look at the sagas, even though they do describe a male-dominated society, in a way we have bigger and better female roles in some of the sagas than in some of the plays and films written in the 20th and 21st century.
Come by the finest of leather. Iceland, best
Is this cloth from England?
Yeah. Do you like them? Look here. Let me show you something very special. Exquisite sheepskin. It's from an island in the Western Ocean. It's a real discovery. They call it Iceland.
An island of ice?
It is a land where you can find anything you need for a good life.
What else do you know about this Iceland?
They say it's a big island. Enough for everyone. Anyone could claim ownership of land there, wherever they like.
Really? Anyone?
Now, what about the skin? Do you want it?
No.
We know that people are eloping, running away and going against their family's wishes. And some of the saga descriptions of people leaving Scandinavia to go to the other lands in the North Atlantic, to the Faroes or Iceland or whatever, are people running away.
Silence.
As you can see, I did not call everyone to be here. You are the ones that I can trust. I will leave the farm with the children. I will set out to a new world. To Iceland.
Iceland? I don't know such an island.
Which of you will journey with us to a new world?
Does anyone even know where that is?
Where do we find this Iceland?
In the west. They say that it is a 7-day voyage. And that there are other islands along the way.
I'm sure it will be dangerous.
I used to travel the
Isn't that
seas.
dangerous?
I know how to navigate a ship.
I know. And I am counting on your abilities, Grim.
Here we can see there are different types of slaves with a different social status, in a social hierarchy. There were laborer slaves who lived in the stalls with the cattle. There was the one with the king's deputy. And there was a wide range of slaves in between.
It will be a dangerous journey.
Such a small group do this.
Yes, but we can hire other men that know the sea.
But can you really trust them?
We can put our trust in our gods.
But where will we live in this new world?
They say there's land for everyone there. And I promise each one of you your own plot of land on the island.
Really? That sounds amazing.
Don't make any promises you can't keep.
Count me in. What do we have to lose here?
Yeah, Grim, you're right.
You are going to need some help. I'm coming with you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Iceland. Yeah? Iceland!
It's a good idea. Let's do it.
Yes.
The Viking Age is marked by conflicts of the clan leaders, chiefs, and minor kings quarreling with their neighbors. Because there are still no superior authorities.
In the 8th, 9th, and 10th centuries, power was not defined on the basis of territory, but on the basis of the peoples one had subjugated. If you were a particularly rough and belligerent king with a strong personality, you could gain more power. It was therefore a case of personal rule over followers, not so much over territory.
The raid on the monastery of Lindisfarne in 793 AD is considered by historians to mark the beginning of the Viking Age. Raiding voyages took place from northern to southern Europe, probably so that the booty could be used to pay the warriors and to better prepare for fights back at home. The Bayeux Tapestry depicts an attack on England, a very precise illustration of how the Vikings dressed and equipped their ships.
If they came to a place where they could obtain wealth in the form of silver or anything else without paying for it, well, then they did so. And then they were brutal. But whenever they realized that it wasn't going to be so easy, they'd turn into traders and simply pay for the goods.
They're coming! They're here!
The boat is back.
Here, take it. Hide the sail.
Yes,
Hurry,
hurry. Yeah, I know.
Stay strong, Sigruns.
Children?
Yes, Mother, I'm coming.
About time.
Thorolf is a hero! He killed 2 men with his bow!
So I did.
Our plunder will last us a long time.
Where's Thorolf?
Here, fought courageously.
Who is this?
This is Moda. She will share my bed from now on. Thorolf, come here.
I killed 2 men with this bow.
Yeah. And how are you?
Leave me. I'm a warrior now.
Jarl and Bildor, my most courageous men. I promised them the hands of Gilda and Thora.
How could you? Never. My girls will marry men that they choose.
My men will know how to please them. And now a drink!
Yes!
Women!
Marriage seems to have been arranged by the families of the 2 people involved as in a pattern that we see from later centuries as well. These are political alliances or economic alliances. Someone wants to get control of a farm or ally themselves to an important family and get influence and so on.
We taught him a lesson!
This brew is
Silence!
I'd rather drown my axe in blood before I let my enemies rest! Gita! Why do you look so gloomy? Go, have a seat, drink! Thora, you two, come.
Let me through.
You.
That's enough!
Calm down, woman. My men are trying to have some fun.
The female heart is a turning wheel. Maybe this gift will move it. Come on, come here.
Girls, come! How could you?
What?
He's right. He's right.
Gita's old enough.
Exactly.
She's gonna need a man.
Let's trick the Kita and Yoav.
And Yoav? Isn't that bad?
I will have something to say to that.
Yoav's not so bad if
Grim,
he, like, dies.
let's go. I think it is time for the men to be by themselves. That was the night I decided to escape. Ulf gave me no other choice. I was willing to fight for that.
Are you ready? We're running out of time.
Wait. Add this to the next barrels of beer. And make sure everyone drinks from it.
What if it doesn't work?
It will work. Trust me.
It's the knowledge of herbs and healing that was widespread among women. But there are also burial findings of women who had been given magical aids in their graves. Magic rods and amulets, as in this find from the Danish fortress of Fyrkat. In the Swedish village of Tuna, a spectacular grave was discovered in which the traditional gender roles had been switched. No queens, but high-status women, probably sorceresses, were buried here.
What's so special about this grave field is that the women are lying in the middle and the men are pushed to the edge. I can't think of any other grave field that looks like this and where the women play the leading role.
Were the women revered for their magic powers? They took 150 glass beads and 13 silver pendants to their graves.
There are descriptions of the way men who worked with magic were looked down upon. They were not well thought of because it was women's business to engage in magic, not men's. There is much evidence that people thought that women had magic powers and could influence what was happening.
I told you. It would work. Careful. Huh. All right. On three. 1, 2, 3.
He's heavy. Sigrun, come on!
Sigruns! It's too late. Please, let me go.
Frigg, the goddess of our household, may she guide you all to a new home safely.
Thank you.
And now go. Go!
Before sunrise, we had left our home forever. The gods were with us.
The winds are good. We'll reach the island in 2 days under these conditions.
I'm a little nervous about the trip.
I hope the fog doesn't get worse.
As long as Eric doesn't eat it all. What is that? I don't know what you mean. They're after us!
Hurry and tighten the sail! Let's go! We need everyone to paddle! Give it all you've got!
What do we do? What do we do?
Come on! Faster! Faster! 1 and 2 and 3. Move it!
Let's go!
Put your back into it! We can't let him catch up to us!
Paddle!
Faster!
Faster, men! Faster! Go faster! Come on, we almost have them! What should we do? Sigrun!
No one make a sound.
Give up! You're not getting away! I will find you! Don't make things worse! Sigrun! Oruf, my son! I will find you! And set the sky on fire! That must be them! Go!
By the gods! It's all right. Green!
Oruf! Oruf! Sigrun! Turn around! I will find you! Even if it's the last thing I do! I will find you!
How could the ancient Vikings actually find their way? What did they do when the sky was so cloudy that they couldn't see the position of the sun?
At first, they sailed along the shores from where you could always see the land, and you always knew, past that high mountain over there, and then across the river, and so on. But at some point, they crossed the sea. We know that there were sunstones in the Viking Age. They work with polarized light. And when you use one, they have a tiny spot here, maybe of tar or something. You hold it up like this. Then you turn it until the small spot here looks like 2 spots on the other side. Depending on their position, the 2 spots have different shades of gray. If the shades of gray are exactly the same, the stone is held in the correct position. If you can see it this way, then you know that the sun is somewhere in this direction.
The first time we saw land was after 5 days. Most of our grain was destroyed by the fire. We were tired and hungry and headed towards total exhaustion. An unknown future was ahead of us.
Pull the sail down! Hurry! Get the paddles! Let's go! Move it! Bring in the oars! Sigrid, are things all right at your end?
It's fine. There's another one!
Help me! Come on!
We never should have left. The sea spirits are punishing us.
Don't talk nonsense. It was just a rock.
Let's go! Let's go!
In the 9th century, many raiders become traders and settlers. People from Northern Europe take their wives and families with them to France and Great Britain. It is not long before Scandinavian kings control the north of the British Isles. Even today, you can find traces of Scandinavian settlement, as here in York. Some of the Norsemen took up with the local women.
There's an English source which complains that English girls like the Viking men because they're much cleaner than the English men.
Oh, it looks like the gods are smiling upon us.
It does look that way.
Sigrun, look there.
What is it?
Careful. There are horsemen.
I hope they're not in grass. I hope not.
Whoa! Easy, easy. Stenar and his men are approaching. Let's get out of here. There are too many.
We got lost in the fog and our ship struck a rock. They don't know our language. What should we do?
I understand you just fine. My grandparents come from the land of the Danes. Where's your husband?
I am Sigrun. And I don't have a husband anymore.
So what are you doing here?
We are traveling to the Ice Island in the west. We are hoping to settle there.
You have courage. I am Stenar, Knight of the Viking Prince of Yorick, and leader of my tribe here. You were almost taken by the Anglos. They don't take prisoners.
Then the gods must have sent you.
Yeah. Is that your ship?
It has a leak. We will need to repair it.
That'll take time. Fall storms are about to set in. You will be my guests for the winter. Follow me.
Come.
The Vikings are excellent shipbuilders. In the northwest, their wharfs are built all along the coast. In the Danish city of Roskilde, researchers are trying to unravel the secret of the Viking ships by building replicas.
We have built this the traditional way as we think the Vikings did 1,000 years ago. Today you would use a saw. They didn't use any saw in the Viking Age. It was only the axes, and you can actually see the result when you're building with axes only. It makes other shapes. If you saw things out, it's getting straight automatically. But when you use the axe, you are following the tree, how it was growing.
The perfection of these ships makes for military success. And the cargo vessels become the backbone in the worldwide trade network of the Vikings.
When you put two planks like that, it's strong because you put the planks together like this. If you put them together like that, you have to put twice as many planks or ribs into the boat. So the clinker-built boat, it's a light boat, and it's still strong. The boats from the Viking Age, they were light enough to pull ashore, and still strong enough to go on the North Sea to the big waves and big stress they have when you go out there. So I think that the way of building the lightness and the good quality of these boats, it was a part of the reason why they could actually go into the sea, out into the ocean, and go a long distance and be sure that they could go out and come back.
See for yourself. Your son may be a good warrior, but he excels at building ships. We've made great progress. So we won't be a burden to you for much longer.
You are no burden to us at all. And my son, his father was a good teacher.
It's true.
Thank you for your protection.
You're welcome.
Here, drink.
We would like to talk to you, Mother. Halfdan has something to say to you.
Uh-huh.
I would like to ask for your daughter's hand. I like her a lot.
You can't be serious.
Halfdan is a good choice for me, Mother. He comes from a respected family.
Mother! You know Father's will. Gita was promised to Niall.
Thorolf, what are you doing?
I represent Father. I cannot allow this to happen.
If anyone is the head of this family, then it's me. Grim?
Sigrun? Don't touch me. You can't tell me what to do.
Go after him.
Yeah.
Very well. And I will speak to your father. We have to leave soon. I am deeply grateful. My journey must continue.
To the island of ice. My brother Ansgar traveled there some time ago.
Maybe I will see him.
Yeah.
From around 870 AD, Scandinavians began settling in Iceland, which until then had been uninhabited land. At that time, there were still forests on the island, which over the following centuries were cut down by the settlers for construction and firewood.
Supplies are starting. Certainly. I know.
Here. You have to eat. How long are you going to do this?
You have brought shame on our family.
Well, I guess I'll have to live with that. Would you rather your sisters be unhappy for the rest of their lives?
Women have to acquiesce. That's the custom.
Yeah. But only if their husbands treat them right and respect them. You should not become like your father. He has a mind like a wolf.
So what? What's so bad about that? I've seen him fight.
Look! Look! We can see land!
It must be Iceland!
We did it! We made it!
We actually did it!
The spot where our goddess washes ashore will be the place we make our home. And then, you will be rewarded for all your troubles.
Sigruns!
The sagas describe rituals the settlers use to take possession of the land. They throw a wooden figure into the bay, take stones as markers, or use animal tracks to set the border.
In the Icelandic Book of Settlements, there are 13 women who are said to have claimed land in Iceland. There are many other women mentioned who came along with their husbands or some other family member, but these are women who are said to have come to Iceland and claimed land, sometimes with young sons, for example. So it was possible, if not always very common. I think it was more difficult for a woman to do something like that.
Is it almost ready?
Yes,
That
it
looks
is.
wonderful.
Thank you. No rush, Sigrid. I'm almost done.
You need more wood.
Mama, there are horsemen.
Sigurd, be careful.
What are you doing here? Who are you?
Greetings to you. We come from the east, and we wish to settle here. Our gods have granted us this place. I am Sigrun, and who are you?
My name is Gautar, and I'm telling you, woman, this place is already taken. Whaler Bay belongs to Ansgar, our chief.
I have scouted this area, and it seems that no one has settled here.
Hey,
watch out!
Help! No! Sarah!
No!
get out of here! If your camp is gone by tomorrow, you will see the child again.
The next one will be on target! Let my sister go! Didn't you hear me? Let my sister go!
Right.
Thora! Mama!
My chief will lay charges against you at the Autumn Council. I advise you to be there. Let's go, men.
They come from many different cultures, not only from Norway, but from Norse colonies in the British Isles and free men from Scotland and Ireland, men and women. And they come into this new virgin land, and they form a society that doesn't build on any prototype in the older cultures. So in a way, it is the first new society, as we then later get in North America and Australia and so on, where people come and do something different from their home countries.
The greatest invention of the Vikings is the Thing. It's the high point of the year. A gathering that was a court and a parliament at the same time. Women could bring forward their problems if they had a male advocate, their husband, brother, or son.
This woman is violating our customs and our law as she is trying to rob me of my land. I accuse her of disturbance of public peace. May the gods punish you.
All I ask for is a piece of land to call my own.
We also were not aware that you had claimed that land, Ansgar.
I meant to announce it during this council. Do I have to explain myself? Do women now have a voice in this council? Do we let them take our land?
Do I count for nothing? Because I am not a man?
What do you know about rights, woman?
I am also a free man, and I will protect the rights of my mother.
We all came here to live in peace. What about the risks I took? I ask for no more than any other newcomer on Iceland.
You have no position to ask for anything.
Quiet. We've heard enough.
Did well, Sigrid.
Our notions of democracy are built on the ideology of the thing where you have to come and discuss matter and reach a common solution that everyone can live with. and they're not based on a central power or authority that makes a decision for you. So I think that general idea behind the Alþingi is at the very heart of democracy today.
It's said that our land must be cultivated by the law. Without the law, it becomes desolate. Sigrun here has respected the customs of our ancestors and the laws of the gods. She is therefore rightful owner of Wielded Bay. Look for another place if you need more space, Ansgar. There is plenty of space here on Iceland. Welcome to our community.
Thank you. Come here, son. My little boy has grown into a courageous man.
I have a fearless mother after all.
I thank you.
This is the end. My home is gone. I, Yoav, escaped and survived. This is my story.
Haithabu is one of the most important trading places of the Viking Age. A settlement in the north of Germany, formerly under control of Danish kings. This is where the best craftsmen and the most important merchants live, like the fur trader, Ottar.
Ottar was a pig and he owned me.
Give me some more meat, and my cup is almost empty again.
Yes, right away, Ottar. In addition to doing the work around the house, I would also sew mittens, hoping to earn some silver that would allow me to one day buy my freedom from him. I would like to go to the market, Master Ottar.
Do you know why I will permit it? Because I know how many of your mittens you'll have to sell before you have enough silver to buy your freedom.
I can count to 10. And I will get those 10 silver pieces.
What a feisty little thing. I should be glad to get rid of you. If I don't make you my wife.
You're too fat for me.
Do you want me to resell you?
You can't do that to her.
Slavery is the absolute bedrock of Viking society. So all the basic work on the farms, in the household, is done by slaves. And these slaves are sometimes people that are captured abroad or in other parts of Scandinavia on raids. Sometimes they are the children of existing slaves.
This is the thanks I get for feeding you for 18 years, you brat?
May I go now?
Let her go, Master Ottar. I will stay with you.
I have to finish some business, so go along with her. And if they offer you a good price, go ahead and sell her too.
Are you coming, Tira?
Yes.
The trading center of Haithabu has left many traces behind. Today, it is close to the Gottarf Castle of Schleswig, in which all findings are kept and examined.
The archaeological excavations that were conducted there for more than 100 years brought to light sensational findings that tell us how trade currents came together here at the Schleswig Neck. There are trade currents from the North Sea region, and the Frankish Empire. There are trade currents coming from Norway. It's slate and talc that are traded in Haithabu. There are trade currents coming from the east. Valuable goods come from Byzantium and from the western end of the Silk Road, and they all come together here because the goods can be so well distributed by means of the large logistics systems reaching as far as the north of the Baltic Seas via Scandinavia and the continent.
Archaeological finds prove that around 1,000 years ago, silver coins and silver jewelry are increasingly placed into circulation. In Haithabu, people engage in barter trade. Coin money from all over the world becomes a means of payment, especially silver, in any form.
One of the things that seems to have stimulated the Viking Age is the arrival of a lot of Arab silver, which then could be melted down, and a lot of Viking silver objects are probably melted down from coins, but we still have a lot of coins as well. They weren't the first to trade, everyone was trading. I think it was a great age of trading, and what the Vikings are particularly good at is picking up on what's happening at any particular moment and doing it even better than everyone else was doing it.
Haithabu benefits from its safe harbor on the Schlei River. The soldiers of the Danish king keep order here.
Buy mittens and keep your hands warm. Gloves for cold nights. Would you like to take a look at them? Only the finest of handiwork, not like the English trash. It's a bargain at a mere tenth of a silver coin.
Let me see this. How do I look, your lordship?
Like a complete idiot, my lord.
So, are you going to buy them?
Pay for these rags? What for?
Don't make a scene. Wait!
Don't you dare touch
Calm
me!
down! This isn't right.
What were you thinking getting into a brawl with the king's soldiers? Yoav, let it
I
go!
need the money.
Hey, you. Hold on there. What do you want? It's no big deal.
Let's get out of here.
Here's your mitten. You're here almost every week. I've seen you around.
So why haven't you bought anything?
And one of the things that you see happening during the Viking Age, it's one of the things that makes the Viking Age different from what came before, is that you have the rise of kings, of kingship, and the growth of kingdoms around them.
The Haithabu region is particularly important for the Danish king. Archaeologists found the remains of a giant rampart that was established at this junction of trade routes.
This is a wall from the Viking Age. We don't yet know its exact date, but we think it dates back to the 8th century.
The archaeologists believe that ancestors of the Danish kings built an earth wall as early as the 5th century AD, rulers whose names we no longer know today. In the Viking Age, this wall was extended with stones.
People definitely also wanted to impress. We simply have to bear in mind that nothing in this area was built of stone. The people lived in ordinary wooden houses, so this stone defense wall must have been a truly impressive structure, especially for the people living at that time. A structure that could also be used to emphasize one's own power and importance.
The Danevirke is 30 kilometers long and serves to defend the area between the North Sea and the Baltic Sea. At the same time, it is the border wall between the land of the Danes and the rest of Europe. When traveling by land, you had to pass through the gate controlled by the Vikings. At the eastern end of the Danevirke is Haithabu, the hub for international trade.
New wares have arrived! Irish workers, strong men, hard-working women.
Look, Irish slaves. We've got it easy compared to these poor souls.
Still, I'm not free. Not yet.
A great part, maybe the most important source of income for these raiding Vikings, was the slave trade. What they craved was silver, so they simply took slaves. For example, they traveled to Ireland, devastated a village, and took the people as hostages. Then they waited until the hostages were redeemed, and they would get silver for them. And if they weren't redeemed, they could sell them.
The slaves are like cattle, completely at the mercy of their owners. But how does this rune stone fit in with this? Close to Stockholm, a slave named Tollier recalls a Swedish king who died. The rune stone settles the estate, for, as you can read here, Tollier married the Queen Gula. Written by Tollier, the king's slave in Roden.
I also think it's fairly remarkable the way you could travel up the social pyramid in the Viking Age. And this might happen if a young man was accepted by a chief or a king as a member of his entourage. As a result of which, he would rise very high on the social pyramid. He was close to the king and moved in his circle.
But such destiny could also change completely, as we can see from this grave in the Danish town of Gedrup. Apparently a slave was buried together with his mistress here.
Altså det vi kan se I graven, det at vedkommende har brækket halsen.
As we can see from the grave, the man broke his neck.
Sket ved at han blevet hængt.
Apparently he was hanged.
Fødderne på en måde de krydser ind over hinanden som
The feet are crossing over one another because they were tied together.
Man kan sige
Obviously a violent death.
Som den her person har lidt og noget.
It can be assumed that it occurred shortly before the funeral.
Med gravlæggelsen umiddelbart forud for gravlæggelsen.
The woman was buried like a warrior with a spear. Apparently, a very powerful woman. The stones are lying on her because people feared that she would return as an undead. But they didn't fear the dead slave.
There's a folk belief, a popular belief, this everyday communication with the powers around you that influence your life that continues for a very long time after the nominal introduction of Christianity. So people are going to church and they're worshipping God and they're singing hymns and making their prayers. And then they're going home and putting a bit of butter on that stone outside the house for the elves. So we see this double world going on for a long time.
The Christian missionaries make sure that the old customs are forbidden. Even the magic women are to disappear.
Please, give alms to an old woman. Would you like to have your future read?
Come on. Soothsayers are not allowed in the city.
I thank you.
Tell me, please. Will I be able to escape slavery?
I can see it. I see a ship filled with fur and silver. You stand at the bow, looking towards Haithabu.
Silver and furs?
You again? Are you causing trouble with your superstitious chatter?
Aren't you the girl with the mittens?
Leave her alone!
Hey! Are you starting trouble again? We might have to take you too.
Let her go! We are servants of Master Ottar.
Ottar, the fur trader. We had better not find you with this witch again. Come.
Please, please don't.
Come on.
May the trolls get you!
When we talk about it today, we talk of a process of Europeanization, of how Scandinavia adapts to the rest of Europe. That occurs during these centuries. Christianization is definitely the most radical change that has occurred in the North.
Some rulers build churches in the north, like here in Norway. Their roofs are decorated with dragon heads, like the ones at the bow of a Viking ship.
Of course, one of the reasons for becoming Christian is in order to interact with the rest of the Christian world. So in order to trade with Christians, Vikings had to make at least a preliminary commitment to Christianity. And some of them may have decided, oh yeah, well, you know, I might as well go all the way and become Christian.
Master Ottar, was I brought to Haithabu from Ireland?
What did you tell her?
Tira has told me nothing. I want to know where I come from.
I bought you at the market. That's all you need to know. I want to take a bath after Holy Mass. Let Yoav prepare it.
I will get it ready.
Initially, the new and old religion coexist in Haithabu. A business-minded blacksmith has left this casting mold, which he can use to make either a cross for a Christian or a Thor's hammer for someone else.
To take the decision to become Christian is one thing. To live a fully Christian life with a full network of churches, priests, going to church on Sunday, baptism, marriage, funerals, it takes a long time to build that up, and I think all of that took quite a long time. It's been argued that in Iceland it took something like 300 years before the country was fully Christianized in that sense, in the organizational sense.
Christianization and increasing power of the Scandinavian kings go hand in hand. The Danish king Bluetooth was the first to be baptized. At the end of the 10th century, he wants to unite Denmark into one nation. Bluetooth changes the burial traditions. Up to now, princes and kings have themselves buried in graves surrounded by such stones. Symbolic ships made of erratic boulders surrounding the gravesite. King Bluetooth wants to pick up, surpass, and end it for his parents Gorm and Tura. Their graves are set up in Jelling in the midst of the Danish mainland.
We must think of it as the most fantastic place in Denmark. A giant fence, 360 by 360 meters surrounds it, and Harald's structure faces towards the north. Here lies Gorm the Old, and outside, around the hill, the silhouette of a giant ship, 350 meters long. A number of houses inside the fence, and the two rune stones placed right in the middle. A fantastic place.
Up to the present time, the Danish kings come from this lineage. Bluetooth is the first who calls himself King of the Danes on a runestone, and who announces the change of religion. Denmark is to become Christian.
The great ship burial is the last twitch of the old religion. When Odin and Thor were still active, people thought that if someone was buried in a ship, the dead person underground could talk to Hel, queen of the underworld. And after the conversation, they'd sail to Valhalla, the Viking heaven. The large ship in Jelling is the last of the old heathen Viking boats used to take the dead from this world to Valhalla.
Bluetooth himself is laid to rest in a Christian church in Roskilde. Today you will find a church there, where all of his descendants to this day have been buried. In Odin's and Thor's time, a raven is a messenger of the gods, bringing good luck. The Christian priests demonize him and brand him as a harbinger of bad luck.
Here. There it is. This stone was erected by Gisla in memory of her husband Ragnar, who courageously journeyed to the east to find gold. He never returned.
What does that mean?
Gisla and Ragnar are your parents.
How would you know that?
Gisla was close to death when I joined Ottar's household. She passed all of her wealth on to him. A casket filled with coins and an amulet. He had to promise her to manage the inheritance and to take care of you until you were old enough.
So Ottar lied to me all these years. I am free. So where is my father?
He went to the land of the Rus. They say that he was seriously wounded in battle, and after that he stayed on in Novgorod at the cloister.
But what about my inheritance?
You have to be able to prove that Ragnar is your father. That's the only chance you have.
Where is Novgorod?
I have no idea.
Why didn't you tell me? Do you actually love that fat pig? Tira, that thief!
Yoav!
The independence of women results from their ability to manage their own property. And the key to this lies in the fact that Viking women were allowed to inherit property. That's an exceptional, if not unique, phenomenon during this time in Europe.
Northern Europe has seen powerful women who manage their inheritance. But as you can see from these wooden artifacts, women were also able to assert themselves in a male-dominated world in everyday life. These wooden sticks containing runic inscriptions were preserved in the slush at the harbor of the Norwegian city of Bergen.
We actually found 700 of these sticks. That's why we know that even some ordinary people were able to write. Many of the inscriptions on these sticks are in the form of what we would call text messages today. This is a very special piece, a hairpin used to keep your hair up. It reads, Ingebjorg loved me when I was in Stavanger. Did Ingebjorg carve these words into the hairpin to remind her beloved of her? We don't know, but we do know that he threw the hairpin away when he came back to Bergen. Maybe he didn't want to get caught with this hairpin in his bag when he went back home to his wife. There is a really funny inscription on this piece of wood. It reads, Gaida says you should go home. Well, that ignites your imagination, doesn't it? You can imagine Gaida's husband getting drunk in the inn, and now she thinks it's about time for him to come home. This may only be an interpretation, but there is evidence to support it. If you turn this piece around, you can see something written on it in a different style of handwriting, under someone else's direction, as it were. There's something unreadable scribbled on it, runes that make no sense. So maybe Gaida's husband doesn't want to go home just now and wants her to stop interfering, but never mind.
That should be enough. Tira, if you take this casket with you, you'll be hunted by the king's soldiers. I am only taking what is mine.
Where will you go?
I want to get to Novgorod to look for my father. He will help me to reclaim my property.
May the gods be with you.
Come with me.
I know where I belong.
I know we'll see each other again.
Take care of yourself.
I promise I will.
Quiet.
Yes.
Could you give me a hand? This is rather heavy.
Yeah, of course.
Are you heading out to Novgorod?
Yeah, this afternoon.
Are you still taking passengers?
If they can pay.
Yeah, I have money.
Women are not allowed on board this boat.
Not allowed. But...
Watch out! Out of the way!
Viking society is dominated by men, but it gives women the opportunity, provided they have the charisma and the capacity for it, to act as autonomous individuals.
It's a world full of contradictions. Rich women have their own ships. Ordinary women don't travel without male accompaniment. The warriors are male, but they seek female support, as these picture stones from Goatland suggest.
You should bear in mind that the picture stones were originally painted in colors. We may even assume that it was the colorful painting that actually made the artwork. What we've got here is a kind of sketch, a faint idea, if you like, of what the artist originally wanted to show.
The stones depict warriors returned from battle, who are greeted by women in the afterlife holding drinking horns. They are called the Valkyries.
There is absolutely clear evidence in the myths of the Vikings that a lot of the supernatural beings associated with war are female.
A 3D analysis of the old picture stones shows that not only male warriors were received by these Valkyries.
The stone found in Grotlingbo also depicts a scene of welcome. A Valkyrie holding a drinking horn welcomes a deceased person. But it's not a man, a dead warrior sitting on his battle horse, but a woman traveling in a wagon to the afterlife.
Were there really any women warriors in the Viking Age? Women who went into battle with men? We have a text in Arabic that suggests it.
In the 10th century, there's a record of a battle between the Byzantines and Vikings. The Vikings lose, and there is a kind of army chronicler, a sort of journalist embedded with the Byzantine forces, who is writing about the battle and what they see and so on. And when the Byzantine warriors are going over the battlefield afterwards and they're taking the weapons of the dead and so on, this chronicler writes how among the Viking dead they find women in armor with weapons.
Many warriors took small Valkyrie figurines with them to bring them luck. Were these what the chronicler meant, or did he intend to depict the Vikings as especially savage opponents? In the male-dominated society, women had career opportunities, but it isn't likely that they went into battle.
How hard could it be to find a girl with a casket? She has to be around here somewhere. Find her already. I want my money back.
You won't get far like this. They're looking for a girl with a casket. Lose it.
Bjorn, did you see the girl?
Hmm? Why are you hanging around the harbor? Are you crazy?
I want to get to Novgorod to look for my father.
Certainly can't stay here in Haithabu.
Ha! What do we have here? Otter's little wench.
Hey, Bjorn, are you protecting this lying little thief? Did she promise you her virginity?
I was the one who found her. The reward is mine.
No. We'll share like brothers, like in the Bible.
Here, put this on.
What?
You will be able to take the journey as clergy.
Why are you doing this?
Get moving. Hurry already.
All right.
Hey! Do you still have space to take a monk to Novgorod?
Sure, if you have 2 pieces of silver.
He's but a poor Christian man.
I've never seen a poor man of the cloth before. 2 pieces of silver. Over here, you idiot.
Here. That's all there is.
Are you serious? Christians are even more tight-fisted than I am. Fine, on board with them.
Archaeological finds allow us to reconstruct the trading routes of the Viking Age. Trade flourished only in the summer, when it was a good time to sail ships.
Their map is pretty big. That doesn't mean that they started at one end and went all the way to the other end. They kind of stopped along the way. In the east, they went down the various river systems through what is now Russia, as far as the Mediterranean. We know that for certain, and that was mainly trading activity. There was also some settlement and raiding. In the west, of course, the nearest places, the British Isles and the northern part of the European continent, there was trading, raiding, settlement. That was an obvious place. I think they started there, really. Those are the closest areas. And then in the far west, they went across to the Faroes, Iceland, Greenland, and North America.
Even before the actual start of the Viking Age, people in Norway began to quarry what at the time was a very desirable everyday item: millstones for grinding grain. Even now, you can see the traces of a gigantic stone quarry that supplied the whole of Europe for 500 years.
This is a fastening hole that was used to secure the ships so that they could load the millstones onto them for further transportation to the trading places. This is Hillstad Harbor. This is where the ships arrived and where the millstones were heaved up onto the ships. At the sea, the mountain could be accessed more easily. It was easier to start out there because they could see that the stones were good quality. First they drew a circle, then they cut into the mountain until the millstone was the right size. Then they started to make holes underneath the stone to loosen it from the mountain. All stones here were cut right out of the mountain.
You can find millstones in the entire area of the North and Baltic Sea, the freight of sunken ships. There are thousands of stones lying on the seabed.
Here. 500 millstones were found here, a ship that sank off the coast of Bergen. Nothing remains of this millstone transporter except for these stones. The cargo weighed around 13 tons, but people were able to transport heavy cargoes like these as early as in the Viking Age. To grind the grains are placed into the eye of the millstone, and then you have to turn it. This was done by women every day. It's a bit hard before you've come up to speed. After that, it's easy. In the Viking Age, this used to be a household item. Each household would have its own mill.
The sagas describe women who escape this daily life. Dressing up like a man is a ruse that turns up in several stories.
It looks like I'm in luck. I can always use some spiritual guidance. Staying in Novgorod, or are you moving on? Have you lost your ability to speak? What congregation do you belong to? Goodness, what have I ever done to you? A woman?
What?
That's a woman!
That's a woman!
What's a woman doing?
It's you again! Didn't I tell you that women are not allowed on board?
I pay just like everyone else!
You tricked me! But if you pay me 2 pieces of silver, I'll pretend to look the other way.
You can't do that. Leave her alone. She paid, so she doesn't owe you anything.
None of your business.
Yes, right!
You were lucky this time.
I actually made it. I was in the land of Rus, the legendary Novgorod.
Today, the old Viking fortress has completely disappeared. For a time, there was a monastery here, but today only the ruins are left. 1,000 years ago, Novgorod was one of the most important trade hubs.
The Vikings reached Lake Ilmen from the north, the first hill on their way which they considered safe and suitable for habitation was the one here on which the Rurik settlement was founded. It was a place where the old trading routes had crossed, and they had a kind of customs house. That's what the findings suggest, and a large place where all of these affairs could be regulated.
Rurik is considered to be the ancestor of the later Tsars, and this is why today a memorial stone commemorates the founding of Russia at this place by a group of Vikings. Rus is a word meaning rowers. Later chroniclers wrote down this story.
Rurik, with his entourage, his family, and his court, means that the Scandinavians did not come alone but were accompanied by their wives and children. And in fact, this is what the findings suggest, that there were Scandinavian women here as well as men.
At first, there are only about 200 people living here, creating a bustling trading post at the foot of this hill.
What is this?
If Christians want to stay here, they have to pay double.
Hey, Vigdis, where's my
Shut your
beer?
trap, Olnorfer, all right? Why are you here? Hey. A girl!
Go of me!
Ooh, lovely. I'm sure you'd want her to work for you. You'd like that, because Vigdis is already a little rotten. Old mare. But she's still in fine form.
All right. Why are you here?
I'm looking for my father, Ragnar of Haithabu. I think he lives here in a cloister.
Do you have any idea how many cloisters there are around here?
I will find him.
You're a girl. You're on your own. Hey, why not serve here, at my bar?
She's doing good.
Of course!
Hey! Hands off!
Jova, what is this? Take care of the guests!
Christianization and the growing power of the rulers go hand in hand in the East too. In Novgorod, a Viking woman is still commemorated as the first woman of the Rus dynasty who had herself baptized. Saint Olga is the patron saint of Russia, and in the 10th century, the first strong woman on the Tsar's throne.
In ancient times, monasteries formed the first protective wall of the city. It was a bastion surrounding it. In the Middle Ages, the city of Novgorod was surrounded by up to 150 monasteries.
Ragnar? I don't know him.
Ragnar? No.
Ragnar, you say? Are you talking about Brother Yaroslav?
From Haithabu?
I believe so. What do you want with him?
I'll tell him myself.
Women are not allowed to enter here.
I've been searching a long time, man of God. I'm not gonna stop when I'm right at the doorstep.
Very well. We'll make an exception. Follow me. Brother Yaroslav, this, girl insists on talking to you.
I'm not expecting visitors.
You are Ragnar.
Gisla's amulet.
We won't tolerate idols. Get out of here.
You're the mirror image of your mother. What is your name?
Yoav. Mother's been dead a long time.
What are you doing here?
I'd like to start trading here, as soon as I've gathered enough silver.
I own nothing if that's why you came.
But you can read.
Yeah?
Then you can help.
You want to do trading?
There are graves of women in Russia with scales in them, and scales are normally used for weighing out silver when you're buying something or selling it. What we don't know is whether these women were buried with scales because they traded on their own, because that was their profession, or whether that's just another part of their daily life.
Do you like these skins? For 50 silver mark, you'll get 30 marten skins, 50 mink skins, 20 beaver skins, and 10% profit share on the next elk hunt.
10%? Last time you said 15.
Well, I would hate to do business with someone else. I can't do more than 10.
Very well. Fine, you won. We'll see each other at Holy Mass, Yoav.
Yes, of course.
There's some suggestion that Christianity was attractive partly because the Virgin Mary offered a kind of role model, a very important figure in Christianity, particularly in the slightly later period for women. Also, the idea of consent in marriage that Christianity stressed, the idea that the woman must consent before a marriage could take place. But of course, there are many other aspects of Christianity that were less attractive to women, but they may not have known about those in the beginning.
Et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo. Quia tuum est regnum et potestas et gloria in secula. Amen.
Amen.
You're not coming to pray, are you?
We should journey to Haithabu. The merchants told me that the city might be sieged. I want to collect my inheritance from Ottar.
You don't have enough? Don't tell me you're undertaking this strenuous journey just for a little bit of money.
Father, there are good people there as well. I also want justice.
He's in charge of justice.
You have to come along, as evidence that I am your daughter. Please.
It will be difficult for me to return to that place.
God of the Christians and Thor, my red-bearded protector. Please hold all your hands over the lovely Tira. May she not suffer any harm. Amen.
After the full introduction of Christianity, it's clear that the position of women in society is changed, and I think pretty clearly for the worse. They are losing a lot of power in the home and in society. There's a formalization of the roles of the sexes, and in the Christian world of the late Viking Age and on into the Middle Ages, women are very definitely lower down on the social scale than men.
In 1066, Slavic ships travel the Baltic Sea and raid the trading center of Haithabu on the Schlei River.
I returned to Haithabu along with my father. It was just like the fortune teller predicted, on a ship with silver and furs. But we were too late.
The village does not recover from this raid, and the settlement is abandoned.
Yoav! Yoav! Yoav!
Hey, you! Get away from there!
I want to buy one of the prisoners. This woman here.
And what if I don't want to sell this one?
Name your price.
Well, if she's that important to you, 20 silver marks.
Good.
On the other hand, now that I take a good look at her, I might not want to sell her. For 30 silver marks, you can take her with you.
There, take it.
Thank you.
That's fine. Come.
And Ottar?
Hey, that one, I'll take him too.
20 silver marks.
Thank you.
Looks like you're in luck.
I will never forget this, Yoav.
The Viking Age, a period of raiding voyages and discoveries, is coming to an end. With the destruction of Haithabu, the largest Viking army of all time set sail for England. The Norwegian Harold the Ruthless wants to conquer the British Isles.
There's a good story as the two kings are approaching each other, and the story goes that King Harold of Norway looked at the English king and said, he's quite small, but he stands well in his stirrups. So he obviously respected his opponent. Whereas the English king said, I'm only going to give as much land of England to Harold of Norway as his length is. So he's going to give him a grave, and he did. And Harold, the hard ruler, was killed here.
The survivors retreat to the north. The Viking era has come to an end.
In essence, people were able to get onto their ships and sail out to sea without knowing what was hidden behind the horizon. So they reach the Faroe Islands, they reach Iceland, they make it to Iceland, and 500 years before Christopher Columbus, they reach North America. I think that's a cultural feat that has no equal anywhere in the world, even to this day.
Haithabu was destroyed. We had to leave for good. But it might have been for the best.
You still have room?
As you can see, the cart is full.
Over here, there's still some space.
Your kindness is starting to be suspicious.
This has nothing to do with kindness, Father.
Where are we going?
I can be a trader anywhere.
I'm glad we had you baptized. I believe that will come in handy for you.